Capes and conundrums. So what in the hell actually happened? Santiago asks the doctors. The patient, Miss Shadowflight, was resting peacefully and in a comfortable state. The human doctor, Mario Segredo, and the hired Insonier Dr. Duty both gave off different signs of extreme exasperation. You know, that doesn't actually tell me anything, right? She's an idiot, Duty states. Dr. Mario, is there a second opinion? It's Dr. Segredo. Dr. Mario is a cartoon character, and I concur with Dr. Duty. This girl is an idiot. Can I please have an answer? A summary would be nice as well, Santiago states. She basically choked herself out. I'm pretty sure it was my hand around her and not her own. Axiom-wise, she was choking herself axiom-wise, Dr. Duty states. There's an easy but unpopular and uncomfortable axiom technique where you utterly minimize your use of it. It makes you effectively invisible to axiom senses, but, well, keep it up too long and you starve yourself. Almost every race, so near included, have evolved with a constant feed of axiom as effectively our primary food source. Basically, it's why null is so dangerous. These women don't eat enough and don't have the plumbing to survive without axiom for extended periods, even if some really strong exceptions to the rule can shrug off null exposure. It will eventually drop all of them. What Shadowflight here did was reduce her intake from a healthy stream to a drip for the sake of stealth, which for a few minutes is fine, but for a full-on brawl with an oversized brute? No. So she literally starved herself near to death, and when she passed out, she started eating normally? It was more than just the starvation. It was the exertion, the slight damage you gave her, and the sheer panic. The axiom starvation made her more susceptible to shock and fainting. It's a common side effect. So she was an overachiever, and the strain left her vulnerable to shock. All right, that, not good, but not bad, Santiago states. She's going to make a complete recovery. There's no need for a healing coma, or really anything other than a nap and a bit of rest. Maybe encouraging her to eat a little more. Most aliens, so near included, rely far too much on axiom for nourishment. Having some extra calories on standby in their body can only help. Not as much as you might think. Dr. Duty counteracts Dr. Segredo. Miss Shadowflight is unmarried, young, and has never given birth. Her body will redirect the excess nutrients towards the hips and breasts in order to attract a mate. At her stage in life, eating more will just make her grow. Unless, of course, one of you would like to help her with that physiological switch. Put her on birth control pills and trick the body. That way she doesn't have to give birth and can still stay trim while eating properly, Dr. Segredo says sternly, and Dr. Duty sighs. Not a romantic bone in your body is there? She asks. I'm on duty. The moment the coat and stethoscope are on, I have a negative sexual urge. Not on duty, you prick. I'll show you on duty when the shift ends. Dr. Duty mutters to herself, not quite low enough for either man to miss it. Then she slaps herself in the forehead with her clipboard when she notices that both men are staring. I'll be in the other room. We hell, Dr. Ladies Man, Santiago begins and dodges a swipe of the clipboard. All right. So just to be clear for the microphone and our listening and lawyer, the damage to the girl is self-inflicted. Yes, she unnecessarily axiom-starved herself. Dr. Segredo states, and Santiago nods even as he hears a sigh of relief from Mr. White. Right, well, 2 days and they ended up with clusterfucks both times. I've got a few hours to kill, I need to think, Santiago states before he leaves the room. Best of luck, soldier. Dr. Segredo bids him, and Dr. Duty gives him an odd look as he leaves. Is something wrong, doctor? Santiago asks her, and she shakes her head. It takes only a little longer to reach the overlook of the blimp they were based in. They had gotten good real estate prices on it due to them being trivial to manufacture and float with axiom tech, and it just added to the appeal of things. He cracks his neck. walks away from the edge, and then takes a running start to hurl himself off the landing pad and towards the city below. He's in casual wear. Warm jacket, oversized t-shirt that's tucked in, oversized cargo pants tucked into his boots. He liked his military boots. The air with the slight tang of sulfur in the distance whips around him as he falls towards the city. He angles himself to control the fall into a directed dive. He charges himself with Axiom and grabs onto a ledge of a building. The Axiom reinforces the construction so it doesn't break in his grip, and the Axiom in his body keeps him in one piece and unhurt as he turns his fall into a swing. There's a bit more angling and he lands on the next skyscraper over. Then the gargoyle he had landed beside suddenly jumps in shock as he lands. It was a Sonier woman. What the hell? Where did you come from? She demands. Up? He asks. What? Exactly, he replies, and she starts to try and say something before pausing and considering. Is this a riddle? She asks. No, that's done for today. Already? It's still in the prototype and growing pain stage, he says. Oh, I wanted to get in on a late night event if it would happen. Really? So you're excited with what's been going on? He asks. Of course. Have you seen how huge the man they have playing Bane is? I have, Santiago notes in amusement. The loose clothing is really saving his hair. I wonder what he looks like under the mask. Probably not too good if he's playing a masked character. Maybe he does double duty as Two-Face, Santiago asks, not even bothering to hide his grin. You know who it is? She accuses him, and he chuckles before checking the nearest gargoyle. It's just concrete shaped like a Sonier about to pounce and not an actual Sonier. So he leans against it and grins at her. Of course, I work with the idiot, he says. What's so interesting about an oversized brute anyways? He's just a steroid-abusing horror. How can you... Wait, are you talking about Bane the character or the man playing him? Either one, he says, keeping the urge to laugh done. How can you say that? Bane is a tragic character, never given a chance to be anything other than a monster, born to prison and inheriting the crimes of his family. Still a drug-abusing criminal, Santiago counters. He has a will of absolute steel and a brilliant mind, refining and perfecting a super formula, and being one of the few people alive that have the will needed to keep themselves focused while under the effects of the drug, she protests. Still a criminal, still using drugs. Just because you can handle doing something terrible doesn't mean it should be done. The argument is pointless. He knows it's pointless, but he's having too much fun to stop. He's the man who broke the bat, she declares. Isn't that a bad thing? Isn't Batman the hero? Santiago asks, and she lets out a little sound of frustration and huffs before crossing her arm wings and looking away. He just laughs in amusement. Listen, you jerk, I don't know why they sent you here, but on Skathak we like our comic books. Sure, they look silly, but there's a lot in there. They're fun, they're exciting, they make sense. The cities are beautiful. That architecture, the way they solve their problems, the sheer morality of the hero, the degeneracy of the villains, the questions, the plots, the... She grabs onto his jacket and pulls him closer to examine his face. You think this is funny? Very, he replies. Why are you even on this planet? I get you're an undaunted and you go where you're ordered to, but why you? Why here? Isn't there some team on your ship that likes this stuff? If we put the nerd squad here, they'd be running the city and we'd be getting things like Darkseid showing up. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to have to deal with the anti-life equation. No kidding, that would be... Hey, how do you know about that? I thought you don't like comics. I don't, he states, and she suddenly freezes. Hold still, she says, and she lifts up her wing hands to his face and covers all but his eyes and mouth. Then she gasps and steps away. Bane! I will break you, you and the Bruja, he says lowly, and she outright shivers. You're Bane. I play Bane. If I met Bane in real life, I would probably kill the man, depending on whether or not a man dressed as a bat interferes with the fight. Santiago states, "Why do you hate the character so much?" "Because I am luchador. I may not be professional lucha, but I still have pride in the sport. And one of the most famous lucha is no proper lucha and simply uses the mask to look scary. He's now galactic infamous and he's not even proper lucha. I would talk about my inspiration and idol, Mystico, and he was compared time and again to a drug-abusing monster in Bane. But Mystico is nothing like Bane. Bane is a drug-abusing monster with neither elegance nor beauty. Mystico is small and skilled, an exciting warrior whose mask is artwork. And if you want big, go for Dos Caras, greatest heavyweight that Lucha Libre was ever blessed with. Or if you want the best of the best, El Santo, the Saint is a true-to-life hero. You want to see the force that Lucha can be, don't look to the wretch Bane. Look to El Santo, 50 years of wrestling, a Mexican icon. The man was too big to be contained in the pages of a book and stepped into reality. A legend with flesh and bone. You really love this stuff, don't you?" she asks, and he takes a breath to calm down. From childhood to early adulthood, Lucha Libre was what brought me closer to friends, family, and my people. I was going to make a play to bring El Reno to the professional scene, but the beacon came, and the call for the stars arrived. I answered, Santiago explains, using his El Reno salute of laying the back of his hand on his forehead and pointing upwards with the index and middle finger. So you can imagine how I find it a little annoying that I have to play the part of a luchador who seems to be everything that Lucha Libre isn't. Yes, there are villains in lucha, but one who uses drugs as Bane does, one who unreservedly causes such harm, that is too far. "It must be nice," the Sonier says, and he gives her an odd look. "To have a culture to be so passionate about, to have a history you can be so proud of. We, the Sonier, don't really have that." "What do you mean?" "We were never alone. We never had a chance to be a people of our own. We were beasts, then we were people, and we were already part of a greater community. We're looking for something to call our own. But everything is spoken for. We have nothing of ours. But borrowing something like this it's almost enough," she says, looking away and out over the city. She lies down and lets her wings hang a little, dismayed and small seeming. I had not thought of things in such a way. I am Mexican. I am human. I am undaunted. You are Sonier. You want to have more meaning, don't you?" Santiago says, sitting down next to her and letting his legs hang over the edge. "I am unsure of how to help. Skathak is for those of Skathak." "You live here now too," she says quietly. "I do. So like my conquistador ancestors, I must join with the natives and forge something new," he says before laughing. "Ha! It will be the project of a lifetime. Come, let us see the fullness of the city and its people. Then we can look into ways to make something new for them all. It is clear to me now that many Sonier simply see this as the place upon which they live and not as their home. Let us change that. On one condition," she says, rising up to grip the edge of the building properly and not simply hang over it. "What?" "I know you're affecting an accent. Stop it." "Oh, sorry. It wasn't affected. I got sloppy with my galactic trade and was letting my older way of speaking slip through. Many lucha, El Reno included, are quite bombastic." "Oh, okay. So, how do we do this? How does looking around the city help?" "The way a person builds their home is important. You've already got a good start, though," he says, pointing to the nearby Sonier gargoyle. "See? It would be a hideous monster in a human city, but here it is, a statue of the people. That is a good personal touch. Let's find more and put them all together." He then hops off the roof and calls back up at her. "Follow me."